All right, hey everyone. How's it going? Hope you all had a good weekend. If you guys don't know who I am, my name is Mustafa Nimmer. Uh, I'm working with the Art of Charting, and this is a Art of Charting exclusive video, uh, giving my view and my opinion on the market. So this is basically the COT report analysis, and if you guys are not familiar with the COT report, I'll be posting in the Telegram channel a tutorial I made on how to use the COT report. Okay, so basically you can see that and you'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm just gonna start off this week's analysis. It's the 21st of May 2017, and my analysis is gonna be for this week. So we start off with the Australian dollar. So very interesting things are happening, by the way, in the market. I think there's going to be some major trend changes coming. It looks like things are really changing. For example, the Australian dollar, we see the commercials have gone from extreme short, net short, to now net long, and even the large speculators are now net long. They're both net long, and guess what? Small speculators, extreme net short. So, when we see an ideal situation where the commercials are net long, the large speculators are net long, and the small speculators are net short, that's a very strong buy signal for the Australian dollar. So we could see some choppiness here. I'd look to buy dips on the Australian dollar for now. So my bias is quite bullish. You see what happens when they get bullish here, when they've gone to this extreme. Prices really rally, big time. So we get to see what happens here. It's kind of the same scenario going on. The commercials go net long, small speculators go extreme net short, large speculators are still long, but back and forth. We see this rally happen. So I guess we are looking at a similar situation. So I'd buy dips on the Australian dollar. Now let's move on to the British pound, stubborn sterling. As you can see, we've gone from levels of heavy all-time net longs to really, they've covered a lot of their long positions. I'm still doubtful. So I want to see one more week. If they're really deciding to go short, they'll go short some more, possibly below the zero line. But I'm still looking to take sell signals in the British pound soon, because we can see the small speculators have gone net long, and the commercials have gone net short. So we're looking at a situation where we could see a dip in the British pound, and the commercials have been correct in this market. They've been buying. They bought all the way back here. You see prices go up substantially, and now it looks like they're really going short. Really going short. I think this is the short they've been in quite a few months, possibly. Yeah, it's been 1 year. It's the shortest they've been in 1 year. That's very interesting. So I'd take sell signals in the British pound. So any rally, any rally here at this resistance, I'd sell here. Always wait for a downward candle if you're selling. Don't go against the trend. To trade with the commercials, you need to have patience, because trading with the commercials mean you're trading on an institutional level. Doesn't matter what your balance is or what your equity is. All what matters is that you have the patience to trade like the institutions. Okay, so don't go against the trend and start selling upward candles. Wait for a bearish confirmation. Okay, and sell there. Wait for a downward candle on the daily, on the 4-hour, and sell there. Okay, don't go against the trend. Next, we have the Canadian dollar. This is again extreme buying of the Canadian dollar. Extreme buying, and We have seen it go up a little bit, and that's supported by higher oil prices. I think this will still go a bit choppy because I think oil may start to decline, but we could see one more rally and then a decline in this market, and then another rally. That's because that's been my forecast for oil. I'll get back to oil, okay? And you guys remember the Canadian dollar is very much correlated with oil. So when oil is up, the Canadian dollar is up, and when oil is down, the Canadian dollar is down. That's the kind of correlation that goes on. So if they're piling onto this, I mean, they've been piling onto the Canadian dollar for a few months. If they're doing that, they must expect higher prices for oil because oil is what moves the Canadian dollar. So we could see some choppiness here. Always when there's extreme levels, there always tends to be some choppiness before the main trend is decided. But in the long run, this is definitely extremely bullish. I mean, in the long run, I'd buy dips on the Canadian dollar. I'll come back to this with oil too, my oil analysis. The euro, again, extremely short. This is very bearish for the euro, and we see the retail traders, the small speculators, have gone net long, and quite a lot net long as a matter of fact. It's very interesting, and this is the longest they've gone all year, and this is the shortest the commercials have gone all year. So I'm looking to short this. I'm gonna look to short the euro, but again, we want to do this. We want to short the euro on downward candles. Okay, don't fight the upward candle. Okay, do not fight it. Okay, you will lose if you do that. Be patient. Be at the institutional level. You know, the institutional guys, they can put in orders and they can sit in drawdowns. You know, the commercials always look for better prices. You know, that's what we should do. We wait for it to peak. You know, we wait for it to consolidate. When everyone stops talking about the euro, for example, euro USD, when it gets boring to trade and there's no action, when it consolidates, that is where you get in. You know, you get in when it starts to show signs of slowing down. You know, on the 4 hour, starts to consolidate, starts to edge down. That's or on the daily. That's where you start to think of getting in as a short, because by then everyone who had short positions would have been stopped out, and they've given up on the euro USD. It's all psychological warfare, believe it or not. It is extremely it is psychological warfare, but we got to do it better. We got to catch up to them. Can't be like everyone else. If you're like everyone else, you will lose in this business. So let's move on to the Japanese yen. They were going short here. Now they're long. I'm looking for buy signals on the yen. You can see the small speculators have gone short. Commercials have gone, I mean, to extreme levels, almost to extreme levels of buying the yen. So it looks like the commercials are piling onto safe haven assets, and I'm looking to long the Japanese yen, and it could come up to this 92 level or 94 level, 96 level. That's my target. This gap to fill, and possibly above that. So I'd buy on dips. So if we see any downward movement in the yen, I'd look to buy there. Ooh, give me 1 second. Oh, I hate when that happens. Anyway, the Swiss franc. Swiss franc. They're very extremely buying the Swiss franc. We've seen the Swiss franc rally quite a bit too. I expect this to go down a little bit, and then again another rally, possibly to these levels here. But this is really long, the Swiss franc. So I'm long on the Swiss franc. Mexican peso, US dollar first. What happened here? I mean, this, you never really get a clear picture here, but it looks like they're buying the market. They're buying the US dollar commercials. It's very, very, very slowly, but they're still at the very short level, you know. So this could continue down a little bit here, and a possible rally is coming. But I do expect a rally to come in the dollar, but we need confirmation from the commercials to do so. So I'd wait for that. Typically, what the dollar is like basically if the euro is at an extreme short, then the dollar will get strong based on that. So that's what I do. So I don't look at this the US dollar index specifically. I look at if other currencies are shorting, then it'll be weak against the dollar. That's how it typically is in the market. So let's move on to the Mexican peso. Again, they've gone extremely, extremely net short. I mean, and we see prices are still holding at this resistance. I'm looking to short this, short the Mexican peso. I'm going to be buying the US dollar index. Sorry, US dollar Mexican peso, because I mean these levels are really extreme levels of shorts on the Mexican peso. So we'll be looking to short this Mexican peso. New Zealand dollar. Again, this is still very bullish for the New Zealand dollar. And we haven't seen much of a rally. I mean, we have seen a little bit here, but it's nothing substantial. What I do like about this is that the small speculators have gone short, even more short than the previous weeks and months. And the commercials have added onto their long positions just a tiny bit. And that really shows that they have buy positions in this market and they expect it to rally. So we need to be patient. We'll wait for some upward movement and we'll get in on a buy. Let's move on to crude oil. So as expected from last week, crude oil rallied to the 50 level, and they are buying it. The commercials are buying it. Small speculators are selling. However, I expect this crude oil to make one more last attempt to pop back, maybe a 51, maybe 52, and it'll short from there. I expect it to short from there, and I'm not looking to short it, but I'm looking to buy this in the long term. So could go back down to the 47, 46 level, even 45. So I'd wait for a W on this. You know, the W like this. That's what usually happens. So I'd wait for that. But what I am looking for in crude oil is that there should be one more dip, a tiny rally, one more dip, and then the main rally where it goes back to 53, 54. That is what I expect in the long run. I think that's why they're piling onto the Canadian dollar extreme buying. They're buying very early, and the commercials like to buy early. You know, they can sit in drawdowns. It doesn't make a difference for them. But we need to see what happens with oil. So I think oil. That's what's going to happen with oil. Is there's going to be some choppiness back and forth. You know, it could short a tiny bit, but eventually it'll rally again. Let's move on to gold. Gold, they're buying gold, they're buying the yen. I expect gold to go up, you know, from here. I expect it to fill this gap sometime, but again, we need to see what happens with the yen, what happens with the gold. You know, they're all correlated. You need to look at the stock market, S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and S&P 500 are going down. We'll see the big money, the smart money, flocking to safe haven assets like gold and the yen. So we need to see what happens there. That's about it for gold. It's been very, very choppy the last few weeks. So could short a little bit back to 1240 level and then take off from there. but we need to keep our eye on the Dow and the S&P 500 to see what happens. Stop for those of you who do trade the S&P 500. This is really bullish. This is really bullish for the S&P 500. But I expect this to short because the commercials like to buy at cheaper prices, right? So they could add on to their buy positions once this shorts, maybe all the way down to here. They could get in at better prices because that's what they like to do. Is they like to buy cheap, So they could be buying here. They were buying into this. They were buying cheap. So I think you could see one last dip, and that is where they buy before it takes off. And the Dow Jones, same thing. They're slowly looking to buy. We saw a 400-point drop that gave the yen some strength, gold some strength, and they're just buying. We are in a bull market, so I'd buy on dips long term. Okay, any dips, all the way back here, even below this, I'd look to be a buyer here. Okay, we want to think like the commercials. We want to buy cheap. This is still a bull market. It's not I don't think there's any recession coming in sight very soon. For now, if there is, we can change our stance. But for now, it looks like we are still in a bull market. So we could go down from here, which will give the yen and gold some strength. But this is still a bull market, so I'd be very careful shorting this long term. Anyway, that's my analysis. Now I'll go back to any specific pairs I'm going to be trading. This is Euro USD, and I'm looking at this as a short. I want to be shorting this pair once we get some more confirmation that this has gone down, possibly to fill this gap. I think this gap will eventually fill. I know everyone's been waiting for that, but we always want to be in the trades that the crowd is not in. That is very important. When everyone is screaming to sell Euro USD, just keep watching and keep watching. Once they've all been stopped out and they're all crying, that is where you get in. When everyone's missing out, you need to think like the commercials. So I'd look to short Euro USD once we get some more confirmation here. We could see one more bounce, over here, and then short, or we could short from here. We need to be adaptive, to the market. So when downward candle persists for a few days, that's where we enter short. USD Japanese yen. It looks like the weekly has printed an upward candle, so we could see a pop back here and then short again, but all depends on what happens politically. There's some tension, so we'd look to fill this gap eventually, sometime in the next couple of weeks, but keep an eye on the stock market. That's what's gonna drive the yen. That is what's gonna drive the yen. USD Mexican peso. We've seen this attempt to really break this 19 level many times. So it looks like we're still at support, and the weekly has printed an upward candle. So this is a very good buy for me. So any dips, over here, I'd buy them. And yeah, that's it. Because they are heavily short the Mexican peso. So I'd be looking to long the US dollar Mexican peso. Gold. Let's have a look at gold. Gold has gone up quite a bit. It's also come a bit under pressure, but I do think gold will fill this gap at the 1290, 1293 level at some point. Again, we need to keep our eyes on the stock market. It's very important. So if we do get like a some of you like to use the overbought, oversold. If we do get an oversold, I like to use %R. You can use RSI. If we do get an oversold on the weekly, it'll be a good chance to get in on a long trade on gold. Euro NZD. This is a short. Looking to this as a short. Um, Again, the commercials are heavily short the euro, heavily long the New Zealand, heavily long the New Zealand dollar. So, and this has been an overbought for those of you who like to use this for quite a while. So we could see some downward pressure in this. 1 second. Look at the daily real quick. Yeah, there's a gap around here. I'd wait for that to fill. Yes, right here. Has that filled? I'm really not sure. Yeah, I think it's filled. So I think we could see like one more pop back up, you know, and then short. That's what happens when it fills gaps. When it goes a little above filling the gap, you know, and then it shorts. But this is going to be a good trade. Euro NZD on a short. I wanted to touch upon to Euro AUD. All we need is for the crowd to exit the Euro shorts. It looks like they are, based on the COT report, looks like the crowd is beginning to buy the Euro. So based on that, we'd look to short these Euro pairs. Euro AUD, it will definitely be a good short once it starts to come under pressure, you know, once the crowd really begins to exit this pair, and then we could see some downward movement in this to fill this gap in the long run. So we'll see what happens. But the trade which has really done good for us is Euro CHF. This is among the only pair that did not rally with the other Euro pairs as much. It looks like there is some very strong pressure on the CHF, on the Swiss franc, that there's a lot of money flowing into the Swiss franc because the Euro and the Swiss franc are very much correlated. And if people are moving to safe haven assets like the yen, they don't usually put their money in the euro. They put their money in the euro and they take it out of the euro and they put it in like the Swiss franc or the yen. So that's what happens. So I'd look to specifically short Euro CHF. That looks like a terrific trade. Euro JPY, again, candle printed up. I'm gonna look to short this because the commercials are buying the yen and they're shorting the euro. So I'd look to take sell signals on Euro JPY. Pound CHF, for those of you who trade this pair, this is a potential short. You see, this is one of the only ones that did not rally last week. CHF has kept it under control. I think there's a lot of upside potential for the Swiss franc. So I'd look to short this pair. I'd sell rallies on this pair. Once you notice that the pound is shorting, you can short this pair too. GBP CHF. So I'd look to short this pair too. What else do we have here? I wanted to touch upon the pound, Japanese yen, GBP, JPY. Yep, there we are. This looks like a terrific sell, terrific short. You can see that we have overbought here and it has come down. That is a clear sell signal on the pound, Japanese yen. So we need to see what happens with that. Like again, the reasons, same thing as Euro JPY, USD JPY. It's that the commercials are buying the yen, shorting the pound. So we need to see what happens with this pair. But I'd look to take sell signals in the pound yen. This is I call the pound the stubborn sterling. It's very, very, very stubborn, the pound. So let's see what happens. There could be one more pop back up and then down. It could continue down from here, but this looks like it's under pressure for this week. And these are basically the trades I'm going to be taking for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to check out the other stuff on the Art of Charting. There's a lot of good stuff there and a lot of smart people there to help you. And thank you very much for your time. And good luck and good trading, my friends.